Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, and today I wanted to do another viburnum tour. So at the Arboretum, I showcased a lot of viburnums that I don't have, but today I wanted to show you some that I have growing in my garden. Now if you hopefully have been watching my videos prior to now, you watched the Viburnum macrocephalum be in full flower, which was spectacular for over 2 months. Now planted at the base of that is Viburnum plicatum Mary Milton. And I showed this yesterday in the Arboretum, and theirs is like super white. And here you can see mine, which is why it's called the pink Japanese Viburnum. Mine has really great pink coloration. So let me give you a close-up view. What's really interesting about this plant is not only do the flowers have a nice pink blush, but the new growth does as well. And I told you in the JC Ralston tour that I posted yesterday, this is a rooted cutting, so a genetic clone from their plant. So it doesn't make sense that theirs is pure white and mine looks like this. So it's got to be something that is cultural. Probably exposure is what I'm leaning towards. I don't think pH would be a factor in this case. I might be proven wrong. If you have some opinions on this, please put them in the comments. But I've always really admired this plant because, you know, mostly viburnums are often pink budded but white flowered. And this one really does have a really unique flower coloration. And it's a beautiful plant. It's planted unnecessarily close to the Viburnum macrocephalum. So you can see the macrocephalum is there, and then right in front of this, I'll confess to you guys, I planted these as 1 gallon. And everything seemed cute and little at that stage, and now we are 12 years later. But you see, they're actually growing perfectly fine in harmony together. I don't necessarily recommend planting everything as close together as I do, but just so you know, it is possible. Now, unrelated to viburnums, but since we're right here in this bed, I want to show you, we've actually had 2 nights in the mid-30s. Not quite freezing, but a little bit freezing, a little bit cold. And it's definitely showing on that freshly germinated buckwheat. But it'll grow out of it and it'll be totally fine. And of course, the white that you're seeing, that is the Viburnum macrocephalum flower petals as they fall off of the plant. So Espalier here on the south side of my house is Viburnum plicatum Shasta. And the one at the Arboretum, which I got this as a cutting off of, was already finished. But you can see mine is still really flowering quite nicely. And it does have some cold damage on it. That is from last night and the night prior, getting down into the mid-30s. But this is a really terrific plant. I don't necessarily recommend trying to grow it as an espalier. There's a lot of maintenance. Instead, put this on a property border. You see how large it can get. And it would be a great plant to be able to hide yourself from your neighbors. Now, a viburnum that you could put near your foundation landscape is Viburnum plicatum nana. And this is obviously a dwarf viburnum. Now, I have cut this down drastically 1 time in the last decade, and this is the size that it's grown to. So I can compare it to a bicycle. It's a fairly standard size, right? It's a really terrific plant. It has wonderful pleated foliage that I think is really beautiful all summer long. And then, of course, it gets these nice kind of round snowballs, just like all of the other Viburnum plicatums do. But this is, I think this is Nana, or it might be Nanum. Sometimes the cultivars, if they're in botanical Latin, are the same ending as the genus species. Little tidbit of information that you probably didn't want to have. Now that large plant here that's just about finished in bloom is Viburnum plicatum popcorn. And that is definitely one that is really exquisite. It was beautiful for about 6 weeks. You can see it's dropped its petals. Those are actually Eucomis, sparkling burgundy, popping up underneath. And next to it, which is putting out quite a scent, I'm not going to call it a fragrance, it is a smell for sure, is Viburnum bituense. And this is a really wonderful kind of marginally deciduous evergreen species that I believe is from Taiwan. And, you know, it blooms a bit later. It's a really lacy flower. During the heat of the day, there are a billion pollinators on it. It's a really terrific plant. It's not mainstream. You're gonna have to try and locate this from kind of an oddity nursery. I grew this when I worked at Camellia Forest, which is when I built this entire border, which was intended to be a species Calicarpa and Viburnum shrub border, which is why I've kind of amassed a relatively odd collection of plants over here. Now, yesterday I showed you Viburnum Burkwoodii Kanoi at the Arboretum, and here is mine. And I have not done any significant pruning to this at all. It's been planted since January of 2011. So it's been in the ground 12 years. It's just a really nice kind of provides structure and really incredible fragrant flowers. The blooms are really wonderful. I've seen quite a few swallowtails out here. I haven't been quick enough to actually have my phone to capture it. But it's a really wonderful plant that I would highly recommend. And you can see mine is growing in full sun, which is probably why it's not as leggy as the one that was planted at the Arboretum, which is in basically full shade. But that just shows you that this is a really adaptable plant for a wide range of conditions. Well, everyone, I hope this tour of my Viburnum collection will serve as inspiration for you. Viburnums really are one of the most reliable flowering shrubs that you can grow in your landscape. And they're very adaptable to a wide range of conditions, and there's a lot of varieties that are very cold hardy, as well as cultivars and species that do really well here in the Southeast, where we contend with high heat and humidity. Of course, Dr. Michael Durr has written the book on Viburnums, so if you're really interested in them, you should totally check that out. And I appreciate all of you tuning in for my video. I hope that you will give me a like. Please share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe to the Bree the Plant Lady YouTube channel for more practical gardening advice right here from my space in Zone 7, Central North Carolina. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.